my friends, story time with Mrs. Beth again. Hey, a big shout out to McKenna and Nash. And anybody else that likes adventures. Adventures are fun, and sometimes finding things is a lot of fun. I have a story today about a little girl named Wanda who finds some tadpoles. I wonder what will happen to them. The story's called Wanda and the Frogs. Let's read it together. Wanda and the Frogs. Something wonderful had happened. Wanda could feel it in the warm sun on her skin. She could hear it in the rushing creek and smell it in the May blossoms. Spring had come. Walking home from school, Wanda came across a puddle beside the ravine. It had been left by the melting snow. Wiggling black tadpoles thrashed about in the shallow water. The next morning, Wanda found her sand pail in the garage and, on her way to school, stopped at the puddle. It was smaller now. Wanda gently scooped some of the tadpoles into her pail, very slowly so that the water wouldn't spill, and she walked to school. The teacher was surprised when Wanda handed her a pail of tadpoles. "Oh my," she said, peering into the pail. "Have you brought them for a visit? We'll have to find a small aquarium to put them in." The teacher went to the science storage room and found an aquarium just the right size. From the janitor's office, she borrowed an empty ice cream bucket with a lid, then carried them back to the classroom. At recess, she took the ice cream bucket to the creek and brought back some water, some pondweed, and 2 large rocks. Then she went to the pet store to buy some tadpole food. Wanda gently poured the water and the tadpoles into the aquarium. The other children crowded around. The teacher announced, "We will have to take care of the tadpoles until they become frogs." For the next few days, the teacher taught the children all about frogs. Everyone was excited and curious to learn about frogs. Wanda felt proud when the teacher said, "It's a good thing that Wanda found these tadpoles. They would have died when the puddle dried up." Wanda was made tadpole monitor. She had to keep the children in order when they were standing around the aquarium and make sure the tadpoles were fed. Everyone had a chance to watch. They were changing. Things were happening in the aquarium. The weeks passed, many weeks, and gradually the tadpoles turned into froglets. First they grew hind legs, then front legs, and then their tails began to shrink. Soon, tiny frogs were hiding in the water weeds and climbing onto the rocks. When the teacher read a story called The Princess and the Frog to the class, Sarah Jane asked, "Will our frogs change into princes if we kiss them?" One Friday morning, the teacher said to the children, "Before you go home today, you need to say goodbye to the frogs. After school, I am going to take them to the creek where there are lots of bugs for them to eat." All the children were sad. Wanda was miserable. She wanted to keep the frogs. When the last bell rang, the children gathered around the aquarium and said their goodbyes. Wanda waited until the very last child had left. And then she said to the teacher, "Miss." "Yes, Wanda." "Can I take some of my frogs home?" "Oh, I don't know, Wanda. Will your mother let you keep frogs at home?" "You would have to feed them more now." "Oh, I will," said Wanda. thinking of all the flies and spiders that her mother hated having in their house. The frogs would eat them for her. Well, I suppose you did find them in the first place. Okay, I'll put a rock and some water and frogs in the ice cream bucket for you, said the teacher. Wanda slowly carried the frogs home and took them straight upstairs to her room. After supper, she removed the lid from the bucket so the frogs could see and breathe. Then Wanda went to sleep. During the night, one of the frogs discovered that he could climb the rock and leap over the top of the bucket. The other frogs soon followed, and across the bedroom floor they went, out through the door, along the hallway, and plip, plop, plip, plop, plip, plop, down the stairs. I wonder where they're going. Wanda was woken the next morning by the sound of screaming coming from the kitchen. She leaped out of bed and rushed into the hallway. Her father was already running down the stairs. Mother was standing in the kitchen doorway, still screaming. Uh-oh. There's a frog in the sink, she shrieked. Daddy and Wanda peered in. So there is, said Daddy. Just then a second frog appeared on the table, and a third frog appeared around the coffee pot. Soon there were frogs leaping all around the kitchen. Look at them all, hiding in different places. A lot of frogs. Please get rid of them, Mother cried. Putting his arm around Mother, Daddy looked at Wanda and winked. I think I know where they came from, he said. He gently led Wanda's mother out of the kitchen. You go back to bed, dear. Wanda and I will take care of the frogs. Look at them all. Daddy fetched a cardboard box from the garage and punched some holes in the lid. The frogs hid. They hopped. They leaped all over the kitchen. Wanda and Daddy crawled after them, colliding with each other. Finally, every last frog was caught and popped into the box. Daddy closed the lid, and Wanda could hear the frogs jumping about inside. Whoa, all the frogs they got in the box. Good job. Now, Wanda, he said, taking her by the hand. Let's get dressed and take the frogs back to the creek where they belong. Frogs don't live in houses. They don't like it. They'd be much happier at the creek. Okay, said Wanda. But I'll be able to visit them, won't I? Yes, of course, said Daddy. Perhaps this summer we can build a pond in the garden. One of your frogs might like to come for a visit. Did they get all the frogs? I'm not quite sure. Well, that was a pretty cool story. Wanda found tadpoles on her way home from school one day. And she got the idea, great imagination she has, to take them to school. And her teacher taught them all about frogs and tadpoles, and they learned so much. And they grew. And then they had to take them to the pond. Her teacher did, but Wanda took some home. And she tried to hide them in her room. Not a good idea, my friends. Go on an adventure, find frogs and tadpoles if you want, or any other type of bugs, but make sure you ask your parents first what you can do with them. But you know what? In the end, Wanda and her dad took the frogs back to the pond, and she asked if she could go visit. He said yes. But I think if you look at the story again, there's still a frog left in her house. I wonder what will happen to that. Hope you enjoyed the story. See you next time, my friends.